Welcome to Boys in the Hood TV. Today we tapping into the streets of Willowbrook, and we're gonna be talking about a college student who was executed by the Carver Compton Crips in 2007. 19-year-old Deion Miles Jr. was a tall, lanky college kid who attended Cal State in Northridge and worked at FedEx. He was the eldest of 10 children and was known to be a very happy, cheerful, loving kid who enjoyed drawing. He came from a successful family and was raised in the Baldwin Hills area, and he had a very accomplished mother who was an attorney at the time. Deion was a second-year student at college for graphics design and video games. Deion was not gang-affiliated. Deion was a student. Deion and his girlfriend at the time were expecting a baby boy in the next few months. Sadly for Deion, he wouldn't see the birth of his child. On June 13, 2007, things would take a turn for the worse for Deion. On that day, Deion was heading home after registering for art classes. He was wearing his favorite color, which was red. Now, one of his hats that he loved to wear was a Washington Nationals hat, and he also wore a white and red pinstripe t-shirt along with some sneakers. Now, Deion would take the bus home from college to go visit his sister on the west side of LA. Now, the bus next stop was in Willowbrook, but Deion accidentally got off there. But by the time he realized it, the bus had already pulled off. Deion was dropped directly on Wilmington Avenue. Now, this section is controlled by gangs like Compton Crips, Carver Compton Crips, Front Hood, and other gangs. Now, the Carver Compton Crips are one of the most active hoods in Compton and have been there since the 70s. Now, their hood stretches from 118th to 126 between Wilmington and Central. They heavily beef with the Fruitown Pirus and the West Side Pirus, which are nearby. Now, Deion's bus had dropped him off directly between Carver Park set and Mona Park set. Now, as Deion stood on the corner, he realized that he didn't recognize the area. And according to witnesses, they saw him walk the block twice, clearly seeming lost. But that's when two Carver Compton Crips approached him, one being 17-year-old Kayvon Jones. And immediately, Kayvon and the other Crip member pressed Deion. Now, the fact that Deion is wearing all red grabbed their attention, but more specifically, Deion was rocking a Washington Nationals hat, which is worn by the West Side Pirus. Kayvon Jones would ask Deion where he was from, but Deion would respond and say, "I'm not from any set, I'm just trying to get back home to the West Side." And that's when out of nowhere, Kayvon Jones put out a 9mm and put it directly to Deion's head and shot him at point-blank range. Deion would die before his body even hit the ground. Both Kayvon and the other Crip were saw fleeing the scene. Now, this bold murder took place in broad daylight in front of multiple witnesses, who in return would call 911. By the time police would arrive, they would find Deion's lifeless body at the corner. Now, hours had gone by, and Kayvon was seen only houses away from the crime scene, along with other gang members. Now, Deion's sister had been expecting him, but she had become frantic because Deion never showed up to her house. But only 6 days later, Deion's parents would get a call that their son was laying in a morgue. Now, after multiple witnesses would come forward, only 2 weeks later, 17-year-old Carver Park Crip, Kayvon Jones, will be arrested and charged with first-degree murder. Now, during his trial, a mother and daughter would come forward to testify that they were witnesses to this murder. They were driving their vehicle when they saw 3 men standing at the corner, one of the men being Kayvon Jones and the victim being Deion Miles. She would go on to state that she witnessed the defendant, Kayvon Jones, pull out a gun and put it directly to Deion's temple and shoot him in the head. Also, a gang expert would testify that Jones was an official member of the Carver Compton Crips, and he stated that wearing red in the Carver Park area was saw as disrespect to the set. Now, while this trial is going on, the Miles family had been receiving death threats from the Carver Compton Crips, and it got to a point where it was so bad that the authorities had to help the family relocate. Now, because Jones was 17 at the time, he was ineligible for the death penalty. But eventually, Jones would accept a plea agreement of voluntary manslaughter, and he would admit to being a Carver Compton Crip and admit to having a firearm on him that day. Now, the day of the verdict, as Jones walked into the courtroom, he was seen staring down Deion Miles Sr., the father of victim Deion, in the courtroom. Now, Kayvon Jones will be sentenced to 32 years and 8 months in prison. Now, only 3 months later, after the death of Dion, his son, Dion Miles III, will be born. Now, as for Kayvon Jones, who is currently 36 years old, he is currently serving his time at Mule Creek State, and in 2021, he was eligible for parole. But at each hearing, it was constantly postponed, a few due to COVID. But as of today, his next parole hearing is in December of 2026 of this year. I would like to thank everybody for tapping in, and I'll see y'all next time.